I don't want to speak for Steve, who I'm very certain is the only person around from whenever this ordinance was originally passed, but I think the idea with 5 was they didn't, if you've got 10 cells in the city, you don't want 100 signs out there just all pointing different directions. So that's what I think was whenever they decided on 5.
When we say 2 signs, we're talking about 2 directional signs,
yes.
and then there's the permit sign.
Yes.
So it's 2 or 3.
Yes.
3, yeah. Well, it's $6 enough, or we gonna turn around?
Man time wise, it's not enough. If it takes somebody 10 minutes to put it in and all that, it would need to be a little bit more to cover the cost.
So you did some research on what other cities were doing?
Yes.
And they're 8 to 10?
Yeah, and I've got those back here if anybody wants to flip through them, but between White Settlement, Lakeside, Westport, they're all generally about 8
I mean,
to
it's
10
been at
dollars.
least 15 years,
Yeah.
I think, since we did this. So we could go up a few bucks. We could go more than $1.
Yeah. Well, if we go up, would we leave it at the 5 then, with the understanding they're just getting the 5 signs to go with it anyway? I mean,
Well, do we charge 5 and then charge them by the sign?
Yeah, no, I think we should reduce the number of signs, like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah. But I mean, just say $5 is your permit sign, and then any signs you want, you pay extra. We don't give them nothing, they have to buy each sign.
Does the dollar cover the cost of one sign? Does the dollar cover the...
Right now it does.
Just barely though?
Let's see, I think those were the directional signs, I think they're going to be in like $1.30 a piece.
It says $4.35 for 5 signs, yeah.
Like 85 cents a piece or something.
So I guess my question, what they're putting in front of us right now, if we lower it to 2, they're saying we still break even at 5. So if we up it to 10, I think we should leave the 5 directional signs rolled in that.
And to raise the price up and give them the same thing they're getting now, but I think we need to make sure we cover more than cover just our cost.
I think that's fair. I mean, that.
Either that
You're
or...
doubling the cost.
So you've got more exposure that way as well.
Right, we'll be giving them free advertising.
That's a really good point, because as much as they're going to put 1 or 2 signs out there, I mean, you want those to flag your house, but they get 10 times more exposure with social media. And they don't really need 5 signs anymore, to be honest with you. They just need a few on key corners. What was your idea again?
That we charge the basic fee for your application, your permit fee, and then we charge you by how many signs you want. If you want 2 signs, you charge them by the sign. The fee's one deal, and then the signs is another.
But does that make it harder for you guys or not? Would it be?
It would be a little bit longer to put it in.
Okay.
So that's something to consider. We don't want to make it your life harder.
I appreciate that.
So keep giving them what they're getting now, but just up it to 10, which again, I think somewhere in here it said 99, so if that's correct, it's been $5 since for 23 years, so I think we can.
My 15 was a little off.
I was a junior in high school when that happened. One other thing, I don't think we need an exec for it, but the attorney did have a question on wanting a little more explanation on that item number 5.
Yeah, just the requirement for an ID. I just want, we don't want to put barriers to entry of, require an ID unless we can tie it to a public purpose. That's important. So I just
To know
wasn't
that they live
clear.
there, is it?
Well, I just wasn't
appropriate?
clear on what the reasoning was, because, and as, was pointed out, if it was an empty lot with no water account, an ID, why an ID is needed. We just need to make sure we can tie that to, that's tied to a public purpose.
And have we had issues before? I think we do, because I think it came before us as far as people having permits at addresses that were not their address.
Yes.
And so this would make sure that if that happens, at least we can go back, because we've got the ID of the person that pulled it, and then we can issue a citation to them for...
We already have their driver's license on file if they need a ticket. Hopefully they don't.
Is it going too far? Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
already said it.
so you just need their
To establish who they are and that they own, they live at,
Yeah,
that reside at that property.
Basically, they have the right to be on the property and...
That we're not giving somebody a permit
get a citation.
to do a yard sale somewhere that they don't even have a right to be, and now they could be trespassing.
And that's an issue, that's been a,
I had one where I was, that somebody was selling property, and they didn't live there, but they were selling the other person's stuff. So, you do what you can.
That feels like a public purpose. Okay.
Is it a step too far to put in there you can have, no more than 2, in a row consecutively?
We could, I mean, it tracks it in the system, so we can do whatever we
I
need
mean,
to.
I don't know, I'm just saying, because there will be that family that does 4 in a row, and then they're gonna switch to their friends, and they're gonna do 4 in a row.
Like, they could do 2, and then 4 months from that, they could do the other 2.
Yeah.
Mayor Ashton.
Or even just no more than 2 consecutively, so if you at least skip a week, then you can do 2 more. Then that goes back to the premises that you had. If you're moving or you want to get rid of your stuff, then you can do it, you know, within
You have to wait.
6 weeks' time. At
Right.
least it's better than, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me, I'm just saying that was something that...
Does that still leave the state sale exemption?
Yeah, that's still in there.
Yeah, okay. You all good with that, where they can have 4 in a year, but no more than 2 consecutively? So that, keep giving out 5 signs, but raising the fee to 10, and then I believe we had a comment online, was that Brent?
Brent?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, go
So,
ahead.
you talked about 4 a year, why don't you just limit it to 1 a quarter?
What we'd run into several years in the past, I think at one point it was 6 months, right? And so there was an issue with people wanting, basically if they could only have 2 a year, what was the big deal between making people wait that long to have them? Because to me, having a neighbor having yard sales 2 consecutive weekends is not a problem. I could see where 4 is a little bit different. But somebody having 2 yard sales in 2 straight weeks is not an issue. So I think, I don't have an issue with their having, I don't know if the rest of the council, if they have 2 in a row, I don't think that's a problem for their neighborhood. So I think as long as it's no more than 2 consecutively, I'm good with that, like Leanne had proposed.
And it is a seasonal thing. You know, when we force them to spread it out, then that forces someone to have it in the winter months where it's just not, or the Christmas months when you're not, you know,
It'll be 90 degrees in December.
Bring fall.
I'm surprised people don't have them these past couple weeks.
because they need more money.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brent. So I think the changes noted were the cost and to make sure they can have up to 4, but no more than 2 consecutively, so.
And the vacant property, you want that?
Well, I mean, I think if we can word it to where if the vacant lot is adjacent to someone who owns that property, then I would say that person at their address can pull one, but they can't pull 4 for the vacant lot and 4 for their house.
Right.
Now, if the vacant lot is not adjacent to property that they own, they don't have a utility account, it's a vacant lot, they can't have a yard sale.
Well, see, we'll have to revise it, because it says now a yard sale permit shall not be issued for vacant lots where no principal structure is located unless otherwise approved by the city manager or his or her designee.
Have we had issues with this?
Just the one person is the only one.
If we have not had issues in how many years? I don't know, at least 20, at least 30? Do we really need to address it at all?
Dan knows one person.
And I don't want to knock staff at all. I would hope that if staff looks at that situation in the future, there is discretion to me between if there's a vacant lot and nobody else is there, and if there's a vacant lot and there's somebody next to it. So I'm like you, if we can just leave that with the
We can look that up
understanding.
on TAD and see,
Yeah,
and we would still go to him for
If we can just leave that with the understanding that staff can work that out, I don't think we need to put that in black and white and just let it take care of itself.
So $10 fee and, what else?
Just be sure for the second week they don't get to leave it out all week.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's what's gonna happen, they're gonna have it, and then they're gonna leave it all out till the next
Well,
week,
we've allowed,
and longer. They're gonna leave it out.
the states we've allowed.
They can get so
Yeah,
weeks
I'll
to
stay
do.
for that.
But no, we would absolutely, you can't leave it out.
You gotta clean it back up.